Beautiful Divine Awakening Souls. I am Joanne, founder of CTC, the 2-hour life transforming combined therapy cocktail, and the International Institute of Combined Therapy Cocktail. I am here today with the gorgeous Stefanie Lang, a fellow CTC therapist and an all-round incredible woman. This woman is highly motivating and motivated, and she's also extraordinarily passionate about empowering children, bringing them back to the truth that they are enough and that they were always enough. She's very much about empowering them to love themselves and to be themselves. She also leads women back to wholeness, so as to live the greatest version of themselves and to be an incredible example for their children and all children. So hello, beautiful Stef. How are you today?
Hello, I'm so good. So excited to be here. What an intro. Thank you.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. You know I love you dearly. So the idea with this is an opportunity, for us to have incredible conversations, deep conversations about subconscious programs, about raising confident and mindful children who truly do understand themselves and are easily able to express their truest emotions. Because, obviously, we are living in interesting times, there's no doubt about it. But, we know that we are a subset of our subconscious programs. And what I think what you're doing is incredible. You're empowering young children. And with that leads to very independent, mindful adults. So I would love for you to share with me your life experiences, how your life has changed so much, especially the last 2 years. But share how you got to this point and what it is that you're doing exactly, how you landed here so quickly.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well,
a whirlwind.
Yeah, I'm like, hang on a second. I feel like everything's just flashing before me, like how I got here. So I think like leading into CTC, children have always been a part of my life. Like I've always been, I just love being around children, always have been like that. Always told my mum as a child that I'd be a mother by the time I was 25. I ticked that box on my 25th birthday. So I've worked in childcare. I've worked in like sporting programs with children. And it's not until really this year that I have created the connection that children is the area in which I'm supposed to be bringing this kind of work to. And I feel like my human has battled like, no, I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be helping adults, like, because they're it, but no, it's actually not. I'm supposed to be helping children because children are our next generation, right? And so I've finally decided to surrender. A human has surrendered to my soul's calling.
An Aries woman surrendering.
Who knew? I mean, it's challenging. Let's say I haven't fully surrendered. And I've got like all of these qualifications in working with children that it now seeing it makes so much sense that I bring this work and not just CTC, like I find it CTC for young children, I think, and young children is who I'm working with. They don't have the attention span to sort of sit with it, but I can break down CTC and help the children with all of the various components and everything that I've learned within, CTC as an entirety. And what's brought me here is just, I think my own healing of who I was as a child or the child within me has made me see how children are today, like not the suffering, but like the trauma. And I want to say like small t trauma, like the little things, like the words and the subconscious programming and the language that we as parents use. And I say we because I'm still learning and unlearning myself in how to be a parent. The phases are so different. So yeah, I guess it's just how I got here was just kind of putting all the puzzle pieces together to realize that, This is where I'm supposed to be.
Oh yeah, the universe has been going, hey, hang a left, hang a left, hang a left for a
Oh,
long
I know.
time. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then finally here you
Yeah,
are. I really
definitely.
love that you said learning and unlearning, because we are
Mm,
obviously a subset of our subconscious programs. And the way I've been describing it of late to people in my programs is that you're basically
yeah.
a brand new mobile phone when you're born, and you've got the basic operating system, right? So we know that you can immediately make phone calls and what have you, but it doesn't have all the
Mm,
apps that we currently use. So what happens over time is our subconscious programs are very much like apps. There are all these apps that have been downloaded, and some of them are glitchy, some of them don't work anymore. You know, some of them don't serve us in any way, shape, or form. In fact, they take up a lot of room on the phone and don't really work properly, which is what's going on within us, right? Yet we don't
yeah.
think to get in there and clean up our phone of all of those apps. And when we buy a new phone, we just plug it in and get everything transferred to the next, which is what
Yeah.
happens with
Yeah, I know.
generational traumas. So for us, it is about looking at our own programs. What is it that's going on for me? And it's not just the conscious things that we're aware of, it's the subconscious things. And we know, like an iceberg, right? You only see the top above the
Mm,
water, but there's still so much more. And the more we understand that the only way through this is to dive in, like to go into our subconscious
yeah.
programs, to recognize what it is that's been holding us back and healing that, then we have an awareness of just what kind of things we embody within ourselves, but we also then become a better parent so as to help our children and other children, you know, through these things. And we learn to communicate better so as to not have them carry the same sort of damage that we have carried most of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so true. I love that analogy of the phone, and it actually made me think like, shit, I need to clean up my computer. There's so much stuff on here. It's not serving, but let's hope that's not a reflection of what's going on.
Oh, look, honey, mine's the same. A whole lot of pages open. And this is the thing: we minimize windows, but we don't close them. You know,
Mm,
so you just have all these like minimized pages or a huge amount of things open, you know, in your web
oh, what
browser
the hell?
and all sorts of things. But you know, they're actually taking a lot of room at the back end. They're doing a lot of things in the back end that
Yeah.
we do want them to do, and also that we don't want them to do. And that's exactly
Yeah,
how we're operating.
absolutely.
So, you know, we have
So true.
70,000 odd thoughts a day, and of those 70,000 thoughts, you know, we think these thoughts are our personality. They're not, they are our programs. But of all of those thoughts that we have, and we know that we're actually operating unconsciously 95% of the day, but of those thoughts, 70% of them are limiting, self defeating, they're not serving us. And what's worse is we're not even aware of them. So the work that
Mm,
we do, you know, the processes that we do help to unearth that. And like I said, you're breaking it down for children, which is important because it depends on how old they are. But
yeah.
you know, we have the tools to break it down to ensure that we can unearth the very things that are holding people back. So what I'd love for you to share with me is maybe some of your results, the results that you're seeing with kids and even your own children. You've got young children yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, the results. I have one client that really stands out. And I say client, I mean child client. Like I kind of I normally get, so most of the way it works, I get the child is going through something emotionally, or they're disconnected from the family, or they're disconnected from themselves, or some sort of destructive behavior that's going on that the parents just can't seem to get a handle on, or to understand, or know what to do. That I feel like the parents come to me at their wits' ends. They're like, I don't know what to do with this. And you know what? It's it's so interesting that the parents come at their wits' ends, like they're really depleted and they've got no idea what to do. But we don't know what we're doing as parents. Like it's so uncommon and not normal for us as parents to reach out for help when the problem is small. When the problem is massive and we've exacerbated every avenue, then we reach out. But they reach out and I get their children, and working with their children is such a privilege because I love it. So, like, it gives me goosebumps, like how much I love working with a child and being able to just be with them. And the basis of what I do with them is just to connect and to build rapport and to enjoy and to laugh and to have fun. And when we're doing that stuff together, things just come out and puzzle pieces reconnect. And I'm not doing anything profound. I mean, sometimes I'll do some Reiki, I'll do some EFT on the child, maybe I'll do a bit of past life regression, but the most powerful part out of all of it is that I've just connected with the child. We're in such a chaotic world now more than ever
Yeah.
that we're losing that connection with our children. And that to me is, I mean, I went into this going, I'm going to need to do all the things to help the kid. I don't have to do really anything. I just have to be and sit and listen and hold space and laugh with them and play with them and bring the child back. You know, I feel like parents, and I've definitely done this too in the past and still now when I have my moments of unconsciousness, that it's go, do, hustle. We've got so much going on. We don't ever have that opportunity to sit and be with them unless we make a conscious choice to do that. And the most profound results that I receive is just by being with the child.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't do it's so, it just seems so bizarre to me because I just hang out and the parents come to me like, oh my God, what are you doing? What have you done? My child is a totally different human being. And I mean, I give notes after every session. So I share with them what we do. And 9 times out of 10, it's just, we're playing, we're having fun. She's had a comment about this, which twigged my thought. And I just went in deeper with her. But in terms of the most profound results that I have in, I guess, my little storybook of working with children is a family came to me and the child was 9 and suicidal and running away, leaving notes to that point. And mum and dad were literally at their wits' ends, crying to me on the phone, didn't know where to turn, didn't know how to help her. And I mean, it was in the middle of the pandemic. She's had family members around that are not normally around, living with her in certain, you know, they're traveling and they've come to live with her. And so there's a massive disruption in her family unit with extra people in her home, massive disruption of not going to school, massive disruption of the world. And she's felt all of that. And she didn't know how to be in all of that. And I gave her the space to just be her and to just talk and to language and have fun and bring back that enjoyment, even though in sometimes, you know, when we're in lockdown, it was just a Zoom chat. We would just sit here and talk and maybe we'd send each other emojis and have a laugh. But she's gone from this child that was so disconnected from herself and her family that she didn't know what else to do but run away, to being so connected with her family, with herself. She just has so much love in her life right now and is enjoying her life. And all I feel like I gave her was the opportunity just to reconnect with herself and to be a child again.
Yeah. And that's, you've touched on so many amazing things. So the only time, like energetically, law is that we cannot be separated. There is no separation. But anytime we feel disconnected, it's actually disconnected from ourselves. It is not disconnected from anything else. We just have a disconnect with ourselves. So what you're doing with these kids is you're bringing them back to self, which is really lovely. And you also mentioned being and doing a lot. I'm not doing anything, I'm being. And that on its own is very profound because, you know, in this very, you know, masculine dominated world that we have been in for a very long time, it was all about doing. It was about the head. You know, I've got to do this, do that. These are the steps 1, 2, 3. But the being is a very feminine energy, and the being is about being present, which, you know, all the ancient cultures, the wisdom keepers have always said we have to come back to beingness, to being present. So this is what you're doing with the kids. You're being, and so many parents find themselves so, you know, they're stretched so thin, they're tired, and they think that they're doing what is necessary, but they're forgetting to be. And who we are being in every moment matters, especially around children, because children feel everything. Children are still highly intuitive. They're still aware of and open to the world of energies. And then you're coming in your doing energy, and it's just a complete mismatch for where they're being. So it sounds like it's really a lot of fun for your own inner child. Like you get to play all over.
Oh yeah, I have a fat time. Doing cartwheels, back bends, playing in playgrounds. It's great.
Fantastic. And so have you worked with the parents sometimes as well and noticed differences there. Because I know for myself as a therapist, especially very young children, if they're very, very young children, I notice when I work with the parent, then the child naturally within a couple of days changes as well. Are you doing that? Do you notice that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting because I'll work with the child and the parents will think that that's where we need to go and that's the path that we need to go down. And I go down that path very well knowing that in 6 to something weeks time, it'll be parent focused after that and we will do something. So I'll either, we'll either do CTC or we'll do Reiki or we'll do EFT or we'll just do some sessions of just communicating with one another and bringing awareness to their lives. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they have their shift, then the entire world shifts for them. And I think that's it. Like that's everything, the child is not broken. It's ourselves. We're broken within ourselves. We're disconnected from ourselves. And it is that being versus doing thing, constantly doing, okay, I've got to make my child happy. I've got to make my child be X, Y, Z. I've got to do this for the family. And just the lists and the things and all the stuff. And then as soon as we wipe that off someone's plate, they're like, oh, I can breathe now. And you're like, no shit, mate. Like you have so much on and you're stressed. No wonder your child is stressed. And like what you said, like children are so intuitive. They know when mum's off. They don't have to see that mum is off. They don't have to hear about mum being off or dad being off or the energies in the home being disconnected. They know. And then they respond to what's going on in the home anyway. So if there's disconnect within mum, there's disconnect within dad or disconnect between the two of them, and all the children, it's that flow-on effect, they're going to be affected. So it does. 9 times out of 10, there is some work that always comes back to the parents and they're like, oh, I didn't realize. Because we look outside of ourselves for the answers, but we forget that the answers are here.
Well, that's right, because they're looking outside themselves and seeing that their child, something is either going on with their child or their child isn't behaving or being the way they want them to be. So it must be the child. So we'll send the child somewhere or we'll get someone for the child. But they do forget that, and look, I think a lot of people don't understand that we are living in a world of energies. They don't understand quantum physics and the fact that, like scientifically, they don't know where one thing ends and another thing begins because everything is interconnected because it is all energy. So if you don't have that awareness, you think, oh, that is the issue, that is the problem, I'll get something to fix that problem. But we have to come back to that knowing that one thing changes everything.
Absolutely,
it changes everything outside of me, and we all know we know it to be true. If you walk into, let's just say you're in a happy bubble at home, everything's great, and then somebody walks in and they're highly stressed and anxious. Suddenly, you can say it. We say you can actually cut the air with a knife. There's so much tension. We feel it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, the brickwork doesn't
so true.
in the house. It actually ripples through the entire universe. No pressure, but you should be a better person. All of us.
On you.
But so we do need to understand, all of us, that, if we want our family unit to be better, if we want our world to be better, then there's stuff within us that needs work as well. All of us.
100%. Always. It always comes back to self in one way, shape or another. Like they're noticing some behavioral, I wouldn't say behavioral issues, but just more like not focused behavior with Hunter. And he's like all over the place. So then he's like dropping his plates, spilling his thing, bumping into things. Like he's just really chaotic. And I sat down with Dan the other night and I was like, okay, why is this? Like, why is this occurring? What is going on in the home that's making him respond this way? And Dan's been really unwell, so he's really he's in a lot of pain, so there's that heightened energy and he's tense and that's the energy of the home, and so Hunter's responding to that in that way. And I was like, okay, well, how can we get you're in pain and we kind of can't do a lot about that right now, but let's communicate this with Hunter so he understands that he can then feel safe, because he mustn't be feeling safe. He must be feeling those energies of erraticness in the home that are just, you know what pain brings. Like you're in pain, you're irritable, you're short fused.
Everything's tense.
Yeah, tense, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And I think when we have, I guess, I'm not sure where I'm going with this. This is just coming out. So
I think it's
when
fabulous.
we had this conversation,
Mm.
yeah, when we had this conversation, I was like, okay, so how can we help Hunter through this, knowing this, this pain is short term, it's not going to be around forever, but we want to create safety for Hunter so that he feels okay. So then it was just a matter of Dan and Hunter having a conversation of, I'm feeling this way, I'm in a lot of pain, and I see that you're responding to the energy in the home or the pain that I'm feeling and the short fuse that I have right now, and you're responding in this way. I just want you to know it's not you, it's me. He's like kind of taking responsibility for the shift in the home.
Mm.
And then since that conversation, the erraticness has settled and calmed, and he's feeling safer, and he's communicating more about what he needs instead of just going internal and having his erratic moments, dropping things and smashing things, which then snowballs into this effect of, what the hell is going on? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And, you get cranky and there's food on the floor and you got to clean it up and all that things.
Mm.
And it does. It's just everything comes back. Hang on a second. It's not the child. What's going on here that I need to address in order for my child to feel safe or to feel understood and seen? Hang on a minute. Well, this is what's going on. Let's address that. The flow-on effect,
Yeah, beautiful. Well, that's right, because they're responding to something. They're always responding to something. So there was somewhere I wanted to go with that. Oh, that's right. Everybody wants to feel safe. This is something that, innately we all want to feel safe. And if all of us feel safe, we do naturally respond very differently, whether you're a child or an adult. And what's been interesting is obviously this last 2 years, there have been a lot of issues that have arisen. There's a lot of chaos throughout our world. There's a lot of uncertainty throughout our world. And I first did a video in March 2020. This is pre the vaccine, any mention of a vaccine, pre any of that. And of course, we know the knock-on effects of that have been a lot of people have lost jobs because of choices, etc. And so there's been a lot of fear, there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of stuff going on for a lot of people right now. And that does affect, obviously, the grown-ups and the littlies as well. But fear stops us from receiving a whole lot of light. So in this vision I was shown in March 2020, there was a lot of light being, bestowed or downloaded over the planet, but those that were in fear were quite constricted and the light was bouncing off them. So I was saying to everybody, the most important thing you need to do is to not be in fear, so as to allow yourself to receive that light. And where I want to go with that is the fact that the fear kicked in for a lot of the adults because of uncertainty. But what we're doing as adults is we are showing the younger generations how to deal with uncertainty. So if you're fearful and you're reacting from that space and the conversations that you're having around that, we're actually downloading subconscious programs into our children related to that. So what we want to do is we want to show that we can actually, no matter what storm comes our way, we can deal with it, that we are never sent anything that we can't handle. And the more we do that, the more our children feel safe, the more they know that everything's going to be okay, even if it is taking one day at a time. But we as adults need to be aware that our children don't have an analytical mind until the age of 7. So if they don't have an analytical mind till the age of 7, then absolutely everything, especially in the womb through the age 7, is something that they are downloading as their absolute truth. They are downloading as a subconscious program that's going to continue to play out as patterns in their lives. So we really need to be aware of that. So have you seen that? I mean, working with children so much, have you seen that sort of stuff playing out? The fears, the uncertainty of our world, the mask wearing, for a lot of children, they spent some kids a third of their life, half their lifetimes in our current chaotic situation. So are you witnessing that with the kids that you're working with?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And not only just kids that I'm working with, it's kids that my children are interacting with, and kids that you just see on the street that are still wearing masks and are excited about vaccines, or it like crushes me to think what their life is going to play out like with all of this fear downloaded onto them, that becomes their normal, that their baseline nervous system is in fear.
Yes.
And I do, I see it, and it hasn't been so like, it hasn't been really presented as in like the child communicates about it or they express their feelings about what is going on. Like, I feel like the kids that I've been in touch with or I've been working with don't language it, but they express it on more of a physical thing, like don't take your shoes off, don't touch this. So they're kind of like this, and they're like restricted. But then when I take my shoes off and we play in the grass, then you see like, oh, that's okay. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, yeah. If she's
and then they watch.
Safe. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I feel like in the small amount of time that I spend with them, being able to help them drop that fear doesn't take a lot. So there's like so much hope. But I guess if they're feeling and they're still being driven with the fear that's going on, then unless they work with somebody like me or unless something massive shifts in the family, then that fear is just going to continue on and on and on. It's just going to perpetuate and feed itself and become this vicious monster at the end. But I think the kids that I see, their parents have some awareness of something, that there is different, that there is better, that there is more. And that's why they come to me, because they kind of have this belief and they have this understanding, but don't really know how to figure it out for themselves. So I see this fear behavior coming up in children that I don't necessarily have a lot to do with more than the children that I do work with.
Yeah.
Because I think mum and dad are questioning everything anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the children that are fear-based, then obviously it's what they're watching on television, it's the family home, the conversations happening in the family home. And obviously I think, it's often parents we forget, we have conversations, we forget that these little ears are around us and that the children are actually in an alpha brainwave state. They are taking on board absolutely everything to be true. You don't have to tell a child that they're not good enough. It can be something as simple as saying, oh, look, if you worked a little bit harder, then you'd be able to do that just like your brother or sister can, whatever. But what the child hears is, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. They're better than me. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And they're downloading that program. So we do need to be aware of the fact that they are around us and they're taking on absolutely everything to be true. So I love that you said something as simple as taking your shoes off and playing in the grass, which is obviously healing and grounding. Would you mind sharing with me maybe some of the tools that the playthings, just so that the parents that are listening can maybe start to apply these with their children? What would you recommend parents do?
Literally take your shoes off and go to the park. Like, that is like, it sounds so simple, but it is so profound. And I issue this as homework all of the time to the family. So when I respond, when I have a session, I respond with an email with, this is what we're working on, this is what I'm going to work on next, this is what I think you guys can do in the family home in order to support what we're doing. So it is, sometimes it is, and I want feedback. Like, I want you to show me that you've taken your shoes off and you've all gone to the park and you're doing cartwheels and you're doing this, and it's just play. Honestly, it's just play. That is it. It's just getting in the grass, getting outside, being at level with the child and letting them lead you. What do you want to do? And because it's so often that we're like, oh, I don't have time for that, or mum can't do the cartwheel, or da 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 da. We put these excuses in, and then when the child I work with sits and goes, I really want to do cartwheels in the grass, I'm like, no, let's do it. That's not the normal response for mum or dad. It's, I'm too old, I can't do that, or I can't do that because of this injury, or I don't have the time. It's literally being present and then going, all right, I'll give a cartwheel a go. Probably may not be very good at it. It's been a long time since I've done that, but I'm going to give it a crack. And when I've done that with them, their faces just light up like, oh my God, my mum or dad would never do that with me. So if there is one thing that I could tell parents to do, is schedule that time where you are not distracted by anything, for pure presence, and allow your child to lead and you just follow. You do what they tell you to do. If it's a back bend, you give it a crack and have a laugh if you can't do it.
You're starting
if
to
it's a cartwheel, Oh.
I'm thinking I'll take my grandchildren to the park. I think, well, I'll say, Audrey, you can do a cartwheel and I'll just lay on the grass and roll. It's been a long time since I've done a cartwheel.
But you're interacting and that moment is present with her, right? Like if she asks you to lick the windows, Joanne, you've got to lick the windows.
Oh, Lord. So our listeners obviously don't know this story.
No.
When Stef
They
was
need to
doing
know.
her training, my grandchildren came for a visit, and Audrey was only very young at the time, and Audrey just was so drawn to you, Stef. She absolutely adored you. Anyway, we're having a conversation. Next minute I look and Stephanie's grooming my granddaughter to lick the windows. And I like my windows clean, and I don't like having to clean them often, so the less people touch them, the better. And here they are putting handprints and licking. Anyway, and then Harvey, who Stef hasn't met, came over just recently, and he licked the windows. So I sent a photograph to Stef and I went, see what you've done? Audrey taught Harvey.
You've ruined it all.
Yeah, so okay, I will try doing a cartwheel, but I won't lick windows.
Well, I mean, I think it's just, I don't know. It blows me away, but it doesn't surprise me when they go, my mum won't do that, or my dad won't do that. But here you are doing it with me, and you're a mum, so my mum can do that. And then when I issue that as homework, it takes quite some time for me to receive a photo or as evidence, because I asked for it. I'm like, I want to know that you've done it, and I want to see that you've done it so that we can enjoy on this moment together. And it takes a long time for me to actually receive the evidence. But when they do it, they're like, oh my God, we have never laughed so hard. We have never connected so deeply as a family. That was fun. Thanks so much. So if there's one thing that you can do for and with your children, it's just allow them to take the reins and follow and enjoy. And it's not only helping them, it's going to bring up so much stuff for you in yourself as to how little we actually play as adults, but how important it is for us to bring play back into our world.
Yeah, 100%.
So healing.
Because I find that we get so bogged down in the doingness and the busyness that we don't laugh like we used to, we don't play like we used to, all of those things. So look, I love the getting your feet in the grass thing. We do that here. I haven't tried doing cartwheels with my grandchildren. I will roll. However, we do. We get in the grass. We have a play. We have a great time. I did as a mother, though. As a mother, I still do that stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So one thing I actually recommend for my clients too is pillow fights, because I think no matter how old you are, a pillow fight brings something out in you, right? And for the adults, as a healing thing for adults, often by the time there's been a couple of whacks with the pillow, you're either on the floor laughing or crying. But something erupts with you and it brings something out. So I also recommend pillow fights as well.
Yeah, I love that. So fun.
Beautiful.
So play again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is about playing. So tell me about you're doing Women's Circle. You're also seeing, obviously, adults professionally. Actually, one thing, back to the children. Are you also seeing children via Zoom, not just in person? How are you operating at the moment? Yes,
via Zoom.
Okay.
So the kids that are in my local, we go to the park, we hang out. The kids that I obviously can't go and visit, we just jump on Zoom and hang out on Zoom. It's so easy.
Beautiful. Just so I'm sure that our listeners know exactly, how to reach you, that they can reach out to you. So technically, that then means you are able to see people globally. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So, Stef, would you mind sharing where you are physically based for the locals that might like to see you?
I am in a little area just outside of Canberra called Primrose Valley.
Okay.
So, Queanbeyan, Canberra area.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. But everyone knows Stef is available to see people via Zoom globally. And obviously from the vibe and the connection here, just listening to this, watching her, you can see that energetically would make a huge difference to your child. So let's talk about how you're working with adults. Is it mostly the mothers that you're working with? Where's that for you?
It's mostly women, that I'm working with, they do, any child client usually extends on and I'm working with the mother, not so much the father. I am very open, obviously, to working with men and the fathers of the children that I work with. However, it just hasn't happened. It hasn't occurred. I haven't had men reach out, which is totally fine. But yeah, I work with predominantly women, and I think it's because I stem from my background in training and coaching women through pregnancy and all that kind of stuff on like an exercise base. That's just what I call in, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm meant to be working with men.
The people that you draw to you. Okay, so tell me about your women's circle. How's that?
Oh, it is
juicy.
Yes, so beautiful. It's so juicy. It's monthly. It is in person. However, I've had a few women ask if they can just be like sat in the circle via Zoom, which totally open to doing, of course. Much like our training, really.
Yes.
So we meet monthly and we just sit in circle, and the concept of it is to learn how to hold space for one another without wanting to fix. Because I think as women, and particularly as mothers, we want to fix and help. And what can I do for you? How can I fix this? How can I make this better for you? Except there is so much in just allowing a woman to release her emotions, release her whatever it is. And so I create a contemplation each month that we have a chat about. Well, we don't chat really, like we go around the circle. We all have a moment to sort of sit with the question or sit with the topic, jot down whatever we need to in order to get it out and release it. And then we go around the circle and just share, and we just hold space and just listen without word. The person has the talking stick. No one else is allowed to speak in that moment. We smile. I always have my hand on my heart. I cry with them. Yeah. I laugh with them, and just let the woman share and express. But I feel like there is something so profound in the silence as the receiver of what is being released in that group.
Yeah. So creating the space for them to be in their beingness and their, like allowed to fall into the feeling and being. Beautiful. And so your training was obviously an interesting one. One thing, the CTC training. And it was really interesting is Stef, the Reiki 1 module was actually the first lockdown that Australia had that very same weekend. And the whole training itself was interesting from word go. But one thing that really stood out for me, Stef, is one morning where I was having to bring up a particular topic to the training to everybody in the class. You were on the floor and you were stretching, and I could see this look on your face as I was basically laying down some rules, maybe. But what I saw in you that moment has always stayed with me, and it was very much that, like, change requires change. The necessity you have a choice to sit in your stuff or to get up and to be different. And I really see that in you. And obviously you're inspiring a lot of people to do that. You're inspiring people to step up from where they're currently at and to be different. Can you maybe talk to me a little bit more about where that passion stemmed from for you? Because I see it as being something through your whole life that has led you to this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I never knew it, I guess, moving through life, what it all was. But I feel like everything in my life I've always done differently to everybody else. I'm really lost for words as to how to really answer that. I've just always, I don't know, it's in me. It's something in me, and it rubs a lot of people up the wrong way. I've just always seen things differently to the way others have seen it. And I've just gone and done my own thing despite kind of what other people, for the most part, gone and done my own thing despite what other people think I should or shouldn't be doing. And probably much to my parents' angst of me doing that as a teenager.
Yeah.
Sorry. But for the most part, and I think this is when I've been in myself and true to myself, that's, I don't know, that's just how I've done things.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to seek better. There's been an inner knowing that there's more, there's something else, and I want that something else, and I want that more because I want what's best for me, and I want what's best for everybody around me and in my world. And I don't know.
Well, that's what I see in you. I see that very much this whole, okay, I've got this because I've got this attitude. It's like, I've had the insight. I've got this. Let's do it. It's that sort of attitude, which I absolutely love. Which, you know, obviously rubs off on everybody around you as well, which is really beautiful. So, what would you actually? What did you think of the CTC training? I was going to ask you a different question, but the CTC training itself, how did that change your life?
Oh, mate, how didn't it?
Well, this is like a combination of COVID and CTC, because everything.
Yes. I know. Yeah. Okay. How did CTC change my life? I think I walked into CTC quite aware of my shit. Actually, I need to turn the light on. Give me some. It's being very dark. But it gave me the opportunity or the chance to no longer hold on to my bullshit. Like, there was no more excuses, because my excuses, I could let them go. I could release them. And in terms of how it, oh God, this is the hardest question to answer, because it changed everything for me. It made me more confident as a person in who I am and what I'm here to do. It brought me home. You know, that's it in a nutshell. It brought me home. And I think I said that to you on the first Reiki training as I was driving to your house. I'd never met you in person before. I'd never even been to your home. But the whole way there, I was like, I'm going home, I'm going home, I'm going home. And I didn't know what that meant until the attunements. And I was like, I've come back to me. So I've been able to shed all of the shit. It makes me emotional. Like, it gave me the opportunity to come back to me. Yeah,
beautiful. Because your business changed. You know, the business you had prior to coming here, that changed the lives of your family, how you do things, how you see things.
Oh my God, yeah.
All of it. And I actually remember at one point during the training, you said, oh, look, I'm seeing everybody like purge in their own ways, and I don't know if it's really happening to me. And then it's like, bing. I am shifting.
Just in a very different way.
Absolutely. We're sort of recognizing that everybody purges in their own way, that shift and that release happens very differently for absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. And what is, give me one or two messages that you would leave our listeners with, both the parents and the children. What would you like to leave them with?
Okay, parents, if you can do anything for your family, for yourself and for your children, it's to explore and navigate who you are.
Beautiful.
To start your own healing journey and dive deep into who you are as a person and be more of who you are, and let all the other shit go. And for the children, I want to say, don't hold on to the shit your parents say. It's not them, it's their shit.
It's their programs.
I don't swear at my children when I work with them. Just no. It's their programs. Yeah. It's a hard thing to say because they don't have that analytical mind at the earlier ages. So for them to not take on that stuff would be impossible in some ways. So we're all here as parents. Your parents are doing the best they can with what they've got. They don't know better. Until they know better, then they'll do better.
Yeah.
And then
I think that's the thing. As children, we expect our parents to know everything. It's like, my goodness, how could you get this so wrong? You're meant to be here to love me, support me. Yeah. So we look up, we idolize our parents because they are our everything. And then when we become a parent, we realize that we don't know everything, just like they didn't know everything. It's scary thought.
And that's absolutely. And that's what I tell my parents all the time. Explain that to our children. And I say to my kids, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't get given a manual of how to operate you or how to raise you. I don't know. And I think when our children know that we don't know everything, it kind of takes us off this pedestal and it brings them back down to level with them. And then there's that greater understanding of like, okay, cool, we're just doing this together. We don't know what we're doing. And I think older children, obviously that lands differently with them. They have this understanding of, oh, okay, so mum's just trying her best. Mum's doing her best. Sometimes she makes mistakes, just like I do. We all make mistakes. But I think having that transparency between parent and child is super important for them to understand that we don't have it all. We don't know it all. We're just floundering around until we get something that's right, you know?
Yeah, that's right. All trying to do the best that we can. So for our listeners, we are going to tag Stefanie into this video. Steph, you'll no doubt share it across your platforms as well. But we will tag Steph into this. So you feel free to reach out to Stefanie. Also, if you would like to see either one of us for a CTC session, feel free to reach out or find your perfect therapist on the International Institute of Combined Therapy Cocktail website, which is iictc.net. You can find your perfect therapist there. Steph, I have loved this conversation. I feel like I could talk for another couple of hours. However, anyway, much love to you, beautiful lady, and I look forward to catching up real soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, darling.
It was beautiful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.